Good evening, everyone. We're now here at the start of our webinar, and I just pressed the recording button. People often ask, is this webinar being recorded? And yes, you can get a link to this recording. So welcome to today's orientation to the ATE Conference for Student Attendees. I'm your host, Mike Lasecki, here in Phoenix at the Maricopa Community Colleges. There's people joining us today from all over the country as we're getting ready for the start of today's webinar. Let me show you a few details about our system here. The system that you're looking at, you can see it on the screen, is called Adobe Connect. Some of you might have used it before. It's just a webinar interface system. We will have one poll today. Now on your screen it shows polls in that sort of upper right corner. I'll reposition that poll to the center of the screen when it's time, and then you'll just click on the radio buttons. Participants, you can see we currently have participants listed there. You might know some of the participants or you might not. You can send them a message by clicking on their name. That would be a private message, but the moderators see all messaging, so be aware of that. The chat box is important. During today, you'll be able to type any comments or questions that you have. Now, here's a little test to see if you can do these instructions. Please type the name of your organization or your school, either of those two things, in the chat box, and how many people are with you in the room today. For most of you, it will be one. So go ahead and type the name of your college or your school and the number of people. I see someone from Del Mar, other people typing their information in. Good. Diablo Valley College, welcome. Everett College, welcome. Sinclair out in Dayton, great. So good. Everyone is clear that you understand the use of the chat window, and we're going to be using it today. It's my pleasure now to, we're not going to be using this marker tool. I think I'll just skip by that one. Let me introduce you to our presenters today. It's my privilege to introduce to you Ken Laye. He's the ATE Project Coordinator. Ken works at the American Association of Community Colleges in Washington, D.C. Ken, would you mind saying hello to folks? We'll just do a final check on your audio.
Hi, thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone.
Ken, do you want to come in there, please?
Can you hear me, Mike?
Ellen, I'm not reading Ken right now. Do you hear him?
Yes, I can hear him. Can you hear me? Presenters are saying they can hear Ken, and I can hear Ken.
Oh, shoot. Ellen, it was me with an operator error. I'm sorry. You guys are talking and I'm not listening to you. What a terrible thing. I'm sorry, Ellen. So let me go back. Thank you. Ken, would you say hello and we'll do a final check, at least for my purposes, for the audio. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you again, Mike, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating with us this evening.
Thanks, Ken. Ken, how long have you been working at the AACC?
This is actually coming up on my 3rd year, Mike.
Cool. Ellen, thank you for joining us today. You're the Program Director for Academic and Student Affairs at the AACC in Washington, D.C. You've already said hi, Ellen, but if you don't mind, say hi once more to the attendees.
No, absolutely. Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Great. Ellen, we're ready to begin. I'm going to go ahead and advance to the next slide. Is it you that's starting, or is it Ken that's going to lead off today?
This is actually Ken's webinar, and I am here for support in the chat window and answer questions if needed.
Lovely. Thanks. Ken, over to you then.
And thank you, Mike. On behalf of AACC, I want to thank you all for joining us today. It is our hope that this webinar will help orient you to the conference, help you to maximize your time while attending the conference, and answer any questions you may have prior to the conference. I want to begin by going over what we will cover on the webinar this evening. We've broken the webinar down into the following sections, and we'll be stopping after each section to address any questions you may have. For your reference, we will provide an ATE conference overview, which will give you a general conference background, registration, hotel, and travel information, as well as an overview of ATE student events, where we will go over student participation and student events at the meeting and address any other commonly asked questions. But before I get started, I want to get a sense of how many of you have been to DC before. By using the polling functions Mike indicated earlier, please select via the radio buttons how many times you've been to DC. We'll take a moment and tabulate. Okay, I see that this is going to be a new experience for a lot of you, and I am excited to have you come to beautiful DC. The city has a lot to offer you, and all of you will get a chance to see it next month. Thank you, Mike. I believe we can close the polling. Now, in this section, we will cover the what, the where, the when, who, and why. So I can bet a lot of you are wondering, what is ATE? ATE stands for Advanced Technological Education, and all of your programs of study are funded by ATE grants to your college from the National Science Foundation. The conference is called the National Advanced Technological Education Principal Investigators Conference. Don't worry, we won't quiz you at the end, which is also referred to as the ATE PI Conference, or the ATE Conference for short. So what exactly is a PI, you might ask? PI stands for Principal Investigator, which is a term used to describe a project director for a grant. The ATE Conference is a national professional development and networking event for PIs leading ATE grants and their project partners. The event is co-sponsored by the National Science Foundation and the American Association of Community Colleges, and is primarily funded through a grant to AACC. For those of you who may not be familiar with AACC, we are the primary advocacy organization for the nation's community colleges. AACC promotes community colleges through 5 strategic action areas, including recognition and advocacy, student access, learning and success, community college leadership, economic and workforce development, and global and intercultural education. AACC has been working with NSF to host the annual ATE conference for the past 20 years. Now I want to take a moment and show you a brief video of the conference, which will give you a visual introduction. This video clip was filmed during the 2012 ATE conference, and although it is a few years old, it will give you a good visual of what the conference is like. Mike, if you would kindly start the video. I think we might be having some difficulties with the video. So I will just go ahead and skip on to the next slide then.
And it's Mike. Hold on just 1 second there. We'll get this right back up.
Okay.
Ken, it's Mike. I'm sorry for the technical problems that
No
we
worries,
had there.
Mike.
So
Thank
why don't you go ahead and take us forward?
Okay, and thank you. Okay, so the conference is held in Washington, D.C. metro area and typically takes place each year in October. The dates for the 2015 ATE conference are October 21st through the 23rd at the Omni Shoreham Hotel. This is an actual picture of the hotel, which is a beautiful historic property near downtown D.C. and is conveniently located on the red line of our Metro line system and is within easy walking distance to a number of area restaurants and shops. Don't worry, we will supply you with a restaurant list and area map as part of the student guide to the conference prior to the event. Approximately 800 people attend the conference each year. Participants include those leading grants for ATE projects and centers and their grant partners from business, industry, K-12, and four-year institutions. The conference also provides the opportunity for approximately 60 students to attend, which you all are a part of. NSF program officers and AACC staff attend, as well as selected guests representing the federal government and STEM-related nonprofits and associations. In addition to the benefit of attending as described in the quote above, the ATE conference provides an opportunity for you to meet other students, learn about new technologies, learn about various STEM career fields, as well as provide you the opportunity to learn from ATE leaders and industry representatives firsthand. The conference will also hopefully give you a chance to see DC and tour the city while you are here. Now on to conference cost, as I know you all are wondering who pays for what. I was once a student, so I know how important it is to budget and get a sense of what you are financially responsible for. For students, AACC will cover the registration fee and 2 nights of lodging. All other expenses will be covered by your respective institution or by your sponsoring ATE grant. If you have not already done so, you should discuss airfare, ground transportation, and meal expenses with your PI. The majority of students travel with their PI, therefore airfare and ground transportation to and from the airport are covered. But if you are not traveling with your PI or another grant team member, you should talk to your PI on how ground transportation will be covered. AACC will provide the following meals during the conference: a reception on Wednesday evening, as well as a breakfast and lunch on both Thursday and Friday. Please note that you will need to pay for any additional meals outside the aforementioned and should plan accordingly for souvenirs. Now on to hotel accommodations, registration, and student activities. All students must use the 2015 ATE Student Information Request Form to make hotel reservations. Please do not make your own hotel reservations. If you have already done so, do not cancel your reservations. Just be sure to include the confirmation number on the Student Information Request Form. This will guarantee that your room is covered by AACC. As stated before, AACC will cover 2 nights of lodging. If you plan to come in before or stay after, you will be responsible for the difference. The rate for additional room nights is $249 per night. The Omni extends the group rate based on availability for up to 3 days before and 3 days after the conference dates. When checking in, be aware that you will have to provide a credit card to cover any incidentals that you may acquire while at the hotel, as you are responsible for paying any incidentals, which can range from in-room phone calls to room service. Please also note that if you use a debit card, the Omni will deduct $50 at check-in, and it will take up to 10 business days after checkout to be reimbursed the difference. Be sure to confirm with the front desk at check-in that your room is to be charged to the AACC master account. If you have any problems, come to the ATE conference registration desk and we will get you all squared away. After getting settled, you will want to come to the west wing of the hotel and pick up your registration packet. You will need to sign in at the registration desk, and afterwards you will receive your conference materials from AACC staff. Please know that by signing in, you give AACC permission to use your photo within any AACC publications or media that promotes and shares information on the ATE program. You will also be given a quick guide for student events, as I referenced earlier, and a one-pager which highlights all student activities during the conference. And it will also include a local area map and restaurant list. Now, we just went over a bit of information, so I just want to take a moment and ask if we have any questions or comments.
Thank you, Ken. Folks are putting their questions into the chat window. Ellen, I see that you've answered that one about assigning the rooms. Would you like to emphasize that? I mean, will the hotel actually know when you reserve your room that you're part of this, or do you have to do that at check-in?
Well, if you've gone through if you've filled out the information form for students and we made your hotel reservation, it's gone over on a special rooming list and it's comped already, so it should be it's on our master account. If you've made your own hotel reservations, and again, don't cancel it, just give us your confirmation numbers, then what we do after the hotel reservation cutoff date, which is September 24th, we take that master list from the hotel and we go through and we assign which rooms we are covering to our master account. From that point, we do ask you when you check in just to verify with the front desk that your room billing is correct. And if it isn't, as Ken said, come report it to the registration desk. Sometimes with even the best efforts in planning, some can slip through and we'll be able to take care of it right on site for you, so you won't be billed for that when you check out.
Ellen, I know the hotel is filling up quickly, so people should move fast on this, shouldn't they?
Yes, and we've asked folks to fill out their forms. The deadline is actually today, so it would be wonderful if you could get those forms in online. And the rooms for students, I actually hold back a block of rooms for the students, so those are protected, which is another one of the reasons we ask you to go through us. But again, we do stress if you've already made one, just keep it and give us your confirmation number, and that way we can just assure everybody has the rooms that they need.
Okay, that's perfect. There's a question. Suppose one of the student attendees brings a companion. Any objections to that, or how does that work? Can they stay in that room? That's the question.
Yes, a companion can stay in the room with you. And I also did see a note there in the chat box about hotel reservations and confirmations. Yes, once we've made the reservations for the students, we do email you a confirmation email with a student guide to the conference, a student schedule, and your hotel confirmation information. So you will get all of that from Ken. He's your main point of contact.
Okay. You know, Ken and Ellen, we've got a couple of more breaks for questions coming up, and I'm sure people will have other questions in the window. Why don't you go ahead, Ken, and take us into the next section?
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ellen. So within the ATE conference, students often have the opportunity to present at conference sessions. In the past, we've had plenary sessions, concurrent sessions, and breakfast roundtables led by students. For many, it is their first time presenting in a professional environment. New this year, and as a way to illustrate the conference theme focused on innovation, creativity, and practice, we are profiling a successful ATE project that is having a national impact. The project is focused on STEM guitar building workshops. A panel of faculty and students will be led by facilitator Donald McCoy, former IBM executive and STEM mentor. Students are encouraged to attend this session and will have space reserved in the front rows of the Regency Ballroom and will have an opportunity to ask questions first of the panelists. In addition, the conference will also offer a special student-only session offered on Thursday, October 22nd and repeated on Friday, October 23rd, which will allow an opportunity for all students attending to talk with an industry leader to learn about the skills needed to be successful in the global workplace, as well as successful interviewing tips and techniques for getting the right job. As students, you will also attend a recognition breakfast being held in your honor, and you will be presented with certificates recognizing your achievements in STEM by NSF staff. PIs are welcome to attend with their students, and the breakfast will take place on Thursday, October 22nd from 7:30 to 8:45. AACC also gives students the opportunity to go on a tour in DC. This year, it will be a tour of the National Air and Space Museum, as well as an opportunity to see some of DC's monuments. Keep in mind that there will be a lot of walking, so please be sure to wear comfortable shoes. Also, please be advised that if you're traveling with somebody, unfortunately they will not be able to accompany you on this tour, as we only have space to accommodate our student participants. You will need to sign up for the tour on your student information request form, which is due today. The ATE conference also gives students an opportunity to showcase and share information on their program of study and/or career field. Here are a few pictures from previous student showcases. Here's an example of how the showcase abstracts will look in the conference program, as you are all asked to contribute a student showcase abstract with your student information request form. Students are expected to prepare a display related to their program of study and their current work for a student showcase session. Students will present at the conference showcase on either Thursday or Friday. The times respectively are Thursday, October 22nd from 12 o'clock to 2:15, and Friday, October 23rd from 10:15 to 12:30. This is a map of the exhibit hall where the showcases will take place. Students will showcase right alongside ATE projects. Each student can request a poster board and pins for their display. If you wish to obtain your poster board and pins on site before your showcase setup, please check with the registration desk and someone from AACC will provide one for you to mount your display before bringing it down to the exhibit hall. Otherwise, poster boards and pins will be placed at your booth if you've requested one, and you can utilize it during the showcase setup period. Please note that this period to set up for showcases is as follows. Thursday, student setup is from 10:30 to 11:45 a.m., with the showcases starting at noon. And Friday, October 23rd, student setup is from 7:30 to 8:45 a.m., with the showcases starting at 10:15. AACC will provide one piece of audiovisual equipment per booth. If you are coming with another student from your respective institution, you will be expected to share a booth. And while you both can have individual poster boards and pins, you can only request one piece of equipment per booth, so please choose wisely. The options are a TV with a DVD player, a 17-inch computer monitor, or a projection screen. You must request these on the student information request form. We cannot make changes or add equipment on site during the conference, so if you need to change any of your AV selections, please email me directly as soon as possible so we can accommodate. So, as a schedule at a glance for Wednesday, October 21st, you will attend an opening plenary session as well as a showcase and welcome reception. On Thursday, October 21st, you will have a student and alumni recognition breakfast, a Thursday plenary session, a student showcase session, and a special session only open to student attendees held in the Congressional Room on global career readiness. Also continued for Thursday is the Air and Space Museum tour. Students who signed up in advance for the tour are asked to meet in the lobby across from the concierge desk at 3 p.m. to be escorted to the bus. The bus will leave promptly at 3:15, so please look for an AACC representative who will be checking in the students for the tour. The bus will return to the Omni at 6:30 p.m. On Friday, October 22nd, you will have an ATE student breakfast networking roundtable, the closing plenary session, a second showing of the special student-only session on global career readiness, as well as the final student showcase. Here, we have a photo of one of the highlights of the conference, food. The main meals events include a heavy reception on Wednesday evening and 2 lunches on Thursday and Friday of the conference. The food events are offered in the exhibit hall right along the showcase sessions. As you can see in the pictures above, we do our best to feed you well. Here we have a photo of our previous student cohort. Don't they look like they're having fun and a good time? Don't worry, those will be your smiling faces next month. Okay, so let me take a moment to ask if we have any questions or concerns at this time.
Thanks, Ken. There is a couple of questions. I'm not sure. Let's start with you. We might turn this one to Ellen as well. Will students be allowed to record the sessions, you know, for their purposes? I think they probably mean video recording.
That I would have to defer to Ellen.
Ellen, do you know?
In terms of recording speakers, you know, that's not a question that's actually come up. Yeah, I mean, if it's in the project showcases and you want to record your booth or have a record of what you've done, I don't think there's any issue with that. The main plenary sessions, with the exception of the opening, will be recorded, so those are, you do have access to those. And in terms of, if you mean the global career readiness session, if you want to record elements of that, the facilitator would not mind that, so that's something that could be done.
Okay. Yeah, I would say
in general you would need to get permission from presenters in order to record.
I haven't seen that much in the way of recording at this meeting in the past, so I think you're probably right there. Keep it to the student showcases. Your own showcase probably makes sense. I have another one. Ken, let me turn this one to you. Most of the activities, here's the question that came in, most of the student-related activities seem Thursday and Friday oriented. Should students make an attempt to get there for that opening on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock? Is that really important?
I think that it is important because it gives you a good sense and flavor of what's to come in the conference. So although it's not mandatory, we would urge you to get there as soon as possible to enjoy as much of the conference as possible.
Yeah, and Mike, I'd like to add to that. We have a very engaging opening keynote speaker. If you're familiar with TED Talks, Dr. Ramirez came on and she's talking about how to, you know, make STEM education really exciting and innovative, and I believe she's known for bringing a blowtorch on stage. I don't know if she'll be doing that at ATE, but I think she'll be a very exciting speaker. And certainly the Wednesday reception, you're going to see just a host of AT centers and a lot of wonderful resources. And if nothing else, you'll want to come for the food. So we do food well at this conference.
All right, good. Ellen, I think we're okay at this point. I know we have a couple of more question breaks. Ken, why don't you take us forward, and then we'll pause again for some questions.
Thank you, Mike. So in this section, I will address other common conference questions, and we'll go over conference attire, internet access, and contact information. The conference attire is business casual, and we suggest that you dress in layers as the conference room can be cool. We also suggest that you bring comfortable shoes as there is a good deal of walking involved to get to some of the session rooms and exhibit halls. AACC has negotiated with the Omni to provide a wireless access code for use by all of our conference participants in the meeting rooms and other common areas. AACC will provide this code with your registration materials. In addition, ATE conference participants will receive complimentary wireless access in their sleeping rooms. The code for the sleeping rooms will be provided upon check-in, or you can obtain this information at the registration desk. So let me ask, do we have any questions or any further questions at this point? Okay. So just as a reminder, the student information request form is due today. So if you've not already submitted your forms, I urge you to do so right after this webinar. If you've already filled out the form and need to make any changes, please email me directly. My contact information is stated above, and if you have any questions about the conference or participation, please feel free to contact me. The best way to reach me is by email, but I welcome phone calls. At this time, I'm going to turn it back to Mike, but before I do, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join me and Ellen today. I hope that this was informative and gives you insight to what you can expect at the upcoming ATE conference. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Ken, thanks. I've got a couple of questions that have come in. You live in the DC area. How is it to take the metro? Can you take it any time of night or day? How does it work?
Sure. The Metro Rail system is actually one of the best. I'm not just saying that because I live in D.C., but it is very inviting and very easy to use. It is operated on limited hours Monday through Friday. It goes from 5 a.m. to midnight, but on Saturday and Sunday, extended services has the Metro Rail system operating until about 3 a.m., excuse me. I would just suggest that if you are new to the area, always travel in pairs and then never feel afraid to ask a Metro Rail employee where you would like to go or just ask them for a Metro Rail map because everybody's very informative and happy to help out and show our city.
How long do you think it would take, Ken? How long should we plan? Let's suppose I'm flying into Reagan Airport. I almost said Washington National. Reagan Airport. How long does it take by metro to get to the Omni Hotel, roughly?
Well, that's a good question, Mike. I would allot for about 45 minutes or so, depending upon what time you come in. If you come in during rush hour, trains appear more frequently, so they'll probably come maybe every 5 or 10 minutes. But if you come outside of rush hour, it takes a little bit longer for the trains to come up, so I would allot for about 45 minutes.
Okay. Okay, do you know, Ellen or Ken, I'll turn to Ken first. Does Uber allow pickups at DCA at Reagan? Can you get an Uber from there?
Yes, they do.
Good. That makes sense, and I know there's people that might be coming in by train and actually, what's the train station called? Union Station, sure. That's on the Metro line, isn't it, Ellen?
Yes, it is. It's actually the Union Station stop on the Red Line.
Okay. Boy, I think getting around DC is very easy to do. Okay, here's the hard question. I'll start with you, Ellen. What's your favorite place to go down on the mall if we got the schedule so packed for the students, but if they have a little time to get down to the mall, what should they see? What's your favorite thing?
I like to see the monuments at night, and you might have that. You'll have that opportunity as the sun's starting to go down if you go on the tour Thursday evening. But I like to see the Vietnam War Memorial and the Korean Memorial in the evening. It's just a different view, different perspective of it, and it's quite dramatic.
That's a good suggestion. What about you, Ken? What would you recommend to a visitor?
I would say either the National Museum of American History or Natural History. I always find those two very informative and cool to just look at and visit.
All right, you know, it's so amazing just walking down the mall. You can just walk into anything there, and it's quite cool to do that. I think one of the favorite things I like to do is to walk around the White House at night. I stay away from the fence, but it's sort of a nice place to see. One other question for you before we wrap up today. You might have mentioned this during the webinar, but we did have another question. What's the right attire that a student should wear, you know, during their showcase, during the tours, during the sessions? What would you recommend for the right sort of dress to wear?
I would recommend business casual for the event, as you will have a lot of pictures taken with NSF program directors. Some students prefer to dress nicely, as you'll see the ties and collared shirts in the pictures, but it's up to you on what you're comfortable in wearing.
Okay. That's it for the questions. Ellen, are we okay on questions on the window? It looks like you answered most of them.
I believe we are.
All right, good. Folks online, I wanted to thank you very much. I'm sorry for the little bit of audio glitch we had in the beginning, simply operator error on my part. Let me do what I'd like to do at this point. I want to put up a short survey and ask you to provide us information about this webinar and how we can make it better for the future. Now, for some of you, it may not appear in your screen, so I'm going to put that survey link into the chat window. And then we'll take it from there. So the survey is now launched, and if you just take a minute to fill out those radial buttons. Ken and Ellen, I just wanted to thank you both for your time and your presentation today. I know it's late in the evening for you as well as the students who have logged in today. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing both of you in Washington, D.C. next month.
Thank you, Mike. We look forward to seeing you, and we look forward to welcoming all of you and all the students. It's our favorite part of the conference, so we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right, friends, that officially ends our survey. Please, our webinar, excuse me. Please take just a moment to finish the survey. And Ken and Ellen, you can just go ahead and close out now.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Good evening.